everyone, it's Missy, and today I'm going to try a new twist on canning my peaches. I am going to try the recipe that came with my auto canner cookbook, and it's called Honey Spiced Peaches. And it's really the same as canning regular peaches, except that you're going to be adding cinnamon, cloves, and allspice, and we're going to use a honey-based syrup. So I'm actually pretty excited to try this recipe. I have my hot water boiling so that way I can skin the peaches. And then I have my ice water bath, my bucket for my compost bin, and then I mixed 2 tablespoons of Fruit Fresh with 4 cups of water, and that's going to be my treatment to prevent the peaches from browning. Over here I have my pint jars. This recipe is for 4 of them, which is the max that the auto canner can hold, and they are ready to go. Have them in my canner, and I'm not going to preheat those yet. I'm just going to wait a little bit. But right now I'm putting together the syrup. So in this pot over here I have added 1 1/3 cups water, and then now I'm just going to add in my 2/3 cup sugar and 2/3. There we go. And I'm going to have to sit you guys down because I'm going to be adding now the 1 1/3 cup honey. And I think I accidentally said it was 1 1/3 cups water. It's actually 2 2/3 cup water. So I'm just going to pour this in. And you can use whatever honey you want. Local honey is always the best honey. So for those of you who also do beekeeping, this is a great time to use up that honey that you get. Alright, trying to get every last drop. I just had enough for this recipe, so to make the syrup, really all you have to do is bring the mixture to a boil over medium-high heat, and you stir until the sugar dissolves. And then as soon as everything has dissolved and combined and formed a nice syrup, you can just let that kind of simmer while we get the rest of the ingredients going. Okay, so I got my syrup. It's looking pretty good. All the sugar's dissolved. It's a nice gold color. So I'm going to let that cook. And now I'm going to take and do my peaches. So, and then I also forgot to tell you, I do have my lids in a pot back there. And if I can get you guys situated, this is going to be a little tricky because I have limited workspace, but I'm just going to take the peaches and dip them into the boiling water. And these ones are really, really ripe. And then I'm just going to let them sit in there for about 30 to 60 seconds just to get the peaches heated up so the skins will crack. If you want, you can help it along by scoring the bottom. I haven't had to do that in the past. Usually if your peaches are ripe, they will be just fine. I find that if the peaches are still a little bit green, they're harder to peel. So when I get the crate home from the grocery store, I usually let them sit in my house for a day or 2 and I just check them. And usually my peaches, I'm canning them in batches because the ones on top of the crate ripen before the ones on the bottom. And so if you keep checking all of them and canning the ones that are ripening first, and then let the other ones kind of ripen and see if they're ready the next day, it helps out a lot. So I'm just making sure to kind of roll them around in the water. If you don't, and there's a spot that isn't touching the boiling water, that is also hard to peel. So they've been in there for enough time. So now I'm just going to take and simmer some right into my ice water bath. And that's just to really cool them down, so that way they're safe to handle. There we go. And I'm just going to keep doing that, filling up my ice water bath with these peaches. That way I can just kind of keep going. Usually if you have another person, that helps, but I'm all by myself here. So just try to keep working them in small batches, keeping an eye on the clock, and once I have the most, I think I'll do 6 of them, in the ice water bath, I'll show you how to peel them and slice them and pit them. Okay, so I got my 6 peaches in my ice water bath, and this is about the time I usually preheat my jars. Jars can be in here for an hour after they've preheated, so we should be okay. My syrup, I'm still remembering to kind of give it a quick stir every now and then, just so it doesn't scorch on the bottom, but it should be doing just fine. Now, the fun part, to see if all your work paid off, I'm going to try to get you guys so you can kind of see. I'm just going to take the peach over my compost bucket. You just take your fingers and you just kind of slide the peel off. If you can see, it's just coming right off. The first time I did this, my peaches weren't ripe enough, so it didn't come off too well, and it should just come off right in one slice, just like that. Then I take my peach, I'm just putting in that bowl of Fruit Fresh right away. I'm just going to do that again. I make it look really easy, but trust me, I've struggled on a few too. Now these bad spots that you see, we're going to take a knife, and we're going to cut those out later. I'm just going to put the whole works in the Fruit Fresh. Oh, and these smell so good. There we go. I usually go from the other direction, from the point down. I don't know why I did this one upside down, but it'll still work. And there's also some wormholes in them. You gotta cut those out too. But so yeah, I should have mentioned that. If you have the point up, it's a lot easier to slide them off. And it goes really fast. There we go. So, now that my hands are all nice and slimy, I am going to show you quick here. So I have my 6 sitting in the bowl of Fruit Fresh. That's perfectly fine. Right now I'm just going to do the rest of my peaches, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so the syrup is boiling, and it smells really, really good. So I am just going to turn down this heat to low. I just need it to simmer now. And that will help and keep it. Whoops. Just have to leave it like that. So I got all my peaches peeled, and now it's time to slice them. So all we have to do is slice them in half, and what you need to do is you just take your knife and you go, there's this little slit that you see on a peach, you just follow that around, and I can feel the pit in there. It's a big pit, so it's kind of like slicing an avocado in a way. Just going to take my thumb, press down, and there it is. So I'm going to take 1/2 and slide it back into the Fruit Fresh. I'll take the pit out, just like that. And then I use a melon baller to scoop out this red center in the peaches. And that seems to work out pretty well for me. You can use a knife too. You can use a spoon. One year I did that. And just kind of look around too to make sure that you have all the bad bits out. Like so. That one's ready to go into the bowl of Fruit Fresh. You want to keep putting your peaches in there because you don't want them to brown on you. The browning is just oxidization. It's not, if they're brown, they're not gonna like make you sick, but it does make them look prettier when you can keep that yellow color. So that's all I'm gonna do with each of the peaches. And when I have sliced them in half, remove the centers, we are ready then to start heating these up so they're ready to can. So I got my stuff set up so that way I'm ready to can. All my peaches have been halved, pitted, they're all set to go. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking a slotted spoon, and I know I could fit 2.5 to 3 peaches per pint jar. So I'm just taking and putting a single of layer down on the syrup. And we are going to heat these in the syrup until they're kind of heated through. It's going to take about 3 minutes according to the recipe. So it's and you just want to keep them in one layer. And this is the same as when you're heating with other syrup. I know a lot of people raw pack, so I'm going to be trying raw packing with the rest of the peaches. I have about 6 left, so we'll see how that goes, but trying to get the water drained out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need another half. And I started with 12 peaches, so there we go. So I'm just heating these through, just trying to flip them over so their cavity is facing down. There we go. And then so a nice timer works. I'm going to use my timer on the stove. And then this is going to be the same syrup that we're going to be putting in the jar with the peaches. So I hope it doesn't look like much because I'm used to doing a big batch of peaches at a time, but I'm hoping that it'll be good. There we go. And I accidentally turned my heat down too low. It's still hot, but it's barely, well, it's steaming, but I don't hear it boiling. Should be simmering. Once these have heated, then I'll take a jar out and I'll fill 1 jar at a time just to make sure that these things stay hot. Okay, so it's been 3 minutes. It looks like they are ready to come out. They look pretty good. So I'm just going to flip these over so that way I can get them out a little bit easier. And they can also heat on a little bit on the other side. I'm going to pull a jar out of the canner. And I am using wide mouth jars just because they're a little bit easier to fill when you're working with peaches. I also have a wooden skewer, and I kind of try my best. You have to get the cavity side down, and that can be a little tricky. So I kind of stick it with the skewer. Oh, that didn't work. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But you kind of just flip it over with the skewer like that. Whoa, that is tricky. But at least I'm getting them in the jar. And I always poke holes in my peaches, but I just always think, I'll help the air bubbles escape a little bit better. Another thing about using wide mouth jars is we have to put in some spices, so I want to make sure that I have plenty of room. Hoping I can get another one in there because I have 1 left. And there we go. And you're supposed to leave a generous 1/2 inch headspace. My peaches always shrink on me, so hopefully that will be good enough. So according to the recipe, you want to add a cinnamon stick. So I'm just going to slide that in the side there. Also, you want to add 1/4 teaspoon whole allspice. Do not use ground, use whole. You might have to go into your grocery store and maybe ask for it. I had to shop around to find the whole, but I'm just going to put them in there. And then you want to use 1/8 teaspoon whole cloves. Again, it's easier to find ground sometimes than whole, but this is what they look like. 1/8 teaspoon isn't much either. There you go, 1/8 teaspoon. Just like that, like so. There we go. Once you have your spices in, it says that you can ladle in the syrup. So I'm just going to be careful. I do have a funnel here. These spices and the honey and the peaches, it smells so amazing. I sure hope it tastes really good. I've never had this before. I've asked people about it, if they've made it, and I really didn't, no one has made them, so I wanted to try them. But that's another thing I like about this auto canner too, is you can do a small batch of these and try the recipes, share them, and if you like them, then you can always make more the next year. But I really like plain peaches too, so I'm just taking my wooden skewer and trying to shake out the air bubbles as much as possible. And I'm gonna have to add some more syrup. Readjust my headspace here. And that should do it. I have my little marker. Yeah, that will do it. So what I do is I take a rag, and peaches are really, really sticky, so I just try to do my best wiping the rim, because a clean rim gives you a nice seal. And then my lids have been preheating, so I'm going to just take one out of the water. Put that down like so. I have our rim over here. I'm just going to screw this on so it's fingertip tight. You don't want to overfill the jars because they'll siphon, but I think that looks pretty good. So I'll just keep doing that until all my jars are full. I still got plenty of syrup to go, so I'll just heat the peaches. Once they're heated, I'll put them in a jar, and then I'll show you the settings to can them. Okay, so 4 of my jars are filled, but in the canner, lid's locked. So what you do is you select fruits, recipe number 5, and start. And in about 55 minutes, you'll have canned honey spiced peaches. If you like this recipe, I will have a link in the description box below, because I do believe that this is on the Ball Fresh Tech Canning website. And if you have any questions, you can always leave me a comment. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.